Garmin recently launched this thing right here. This is the InReach Messenger. And while the InReach Messenger does share some similarities with the InReach Mini and InReach Mini 2, there are also a bunch of differences. So in this video, I'm going to share my thoughts on the InReach Messenger while also comparing it to the InReach Mini. Let's do it. All right, so as a mountain biker and bike packer, I often find myself in remote areas out of cell range. And now that I have a family, I find that communication is more important than ever. I've been using the InReach Mini for, I think, probably the last 5 years or so. But ever since I got my hands on the new InReach Messenger, I found that the overall simplicity warranted swapping over my subscription to the Messenger. The Messenger did get a little larger than the InReach Mini as a whole, but with more of a proportional shape, coming in at 7.8 by 6.4 by 2.3 centimeters. And while the body grew, the screen actually shrunk, now coming in at 2.5 by 1.1 centimeter. The 114 gram device comes with a weatherproof USB-C charge port on one side, power and SOS button on the other, and 3 buttons on the bottom to kind of scroll through and select menu items. The unit also comes with an upgraded 1800 milliamp hour rechargeable lithium ion battery, which I'm probably guessing is why the device is a little bit larger than the Mini itself, which for me is an easy price to pay for extended battery life. Like the Mini, the Messenger also comes with Bluetooth and ANT Plus so that you can easily pair it with, say, your smartphone or other remote devices such as, say, Garmin watches or the Garmin Edge 1040 Solar, which I've been using. Being able to pair the InReach with the Garmin Edge 1040 is so nice, as you don't need to get out your phone or get out the InReach, but rather you just simply need to press a few buttons on your head unit to send a message to a friend to tell them you are all right. That is one of my favorite features, but more on that when I review the Garmin Edge 1040 Solar in a few weeks. So the Messenger, like all Garmin InReach devices, uses the global Iridium satellite network, which consists of a constellation of 66 low Earth satellites. There are a variety of other brands and devices that use the Iridium network. However, another popular satellite messenger device company, Spot, uses Globalstar, which is a different set of satellite constellations that use fewer satellites, but they're higher up in the orbit. Either way, those satellites in the sky that you see just kind of poking on through when you're camping, yeah, those are pretty important to these devices, which truly make them work. The Iridium network was actually fully operational in 1998, but in 2019, they updated the network by completing a replacement of all satellites. So before we dive into battery life, I just wanted to take a quick moment to let folks know that this video is supported in part by Terravel tires. Do you need more traction from your gravel tire? The Rutland has you covered. Its staggered, spaced out lugs dig in on loose gravel, sand, mud, and dirt without feeling too sluggish. That means more trust in your tire when cornering and braking. The Rutland is available in both durable and light and supple casings, coming in a variety of sizes from 650B by 47 to 29 by 2.2 inches. So for more on the Rutland, make sure to hit this card right here. Also find a link in the description below. For me, one of the biggest reasons to get this particular device is battery power. Because of the 44% larger battery over the Mini 2, I found that I simply don't really stress out about battery life anymore. With the original InReach Mini, I had some experiences where I simply could not use the device because it would run out of juice, such as races where tracking was required. Garmin claims that you can get 46 days with a message or location sent every 30 minutes with full sky view, opposed to 24 days on the InReach Mini. Now, there are a lot of different factors that can change those run times, such as the backlight being paired with your phone or a remote, obstruction to the sky, but because of its larger battery, this gives me more comfort, more room for error, so to speak. It allows me to keep my phone and head unit paired without thinking about draining my battery over the course of, say, a week-long bike packing trip. All right, so speaking of, this was kind of a cool test, but I went to Arizona in February. I tested the device with 10-minute tracking on. The device started with 98% battery life and it finished with 70% life. On average, I lost 7% battery life each day. This also included a few messages over the course of those 5 days. I had the InReach connected to my phone, but I turned off the remote to my Garmin 1040 head unit. I also had the device muted, brightness level at 10%, and 15-second timeout turned on. After that trip, I told myself I would no longer need the InReach Mini. One really unique feature just to the InReach Messenger is the reverse charging capabilities. So if your Messenger has more than 25% battery life, it has the ability to charge something else, like your phone or a head unit. So say if your phone dies or your head unit dies, you can put a little bit more juice back in it, which can definitely be helpful. However, you do need to turn this feature on, which can easily be done in the app. All right, so unlike the aforementioned Garmin Edge 1040 head unit that I've been using, the InReach Messenger interface is very easy to use, with or without the app. So with the built-in screen, you get all the access to all of the settings of the device, similar to the InReach Mini, but let's be honest here. I never really use the screen on the Mini, and I definitely don't use it on the Messenger either. Both will take forever to write a message, but in the event that your phone does die or you trigger SOS on the device, you can still use the device without your phone, which is crucial. Despite being a little frustrated that Garmin introduced another app to the mix, the Messenger app is actually super intuitive, and I actually like it more than the Earthmate app that I used with the older InReach Mini. The new InReach Mini 2 can be used with the Messenger app or the Garmin Explore app, but I have not used the Mini 2 nor the Explore app. And yeah, I know that is kind of sounding confusing, but that's the way it is. So the Messenger app can do it all, and it's super easy to follow with 3 tabs at the bottom and your profile setting at the top left. The main device tab gives you the ability to turn on or off tracking, send check-in messages, and show how many messages are remaining on your plan, just to name a few. Then you have the weather tab, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then you have the message tab, which gives you the ability to send personal messages. Over the last 5 years of using satellite messengers while bikepacking, I find that 99% of the time I use it for messages. And go figure, the InReach Messenger was built just for that. Using the Messenger app, both the InReach Messenger and new Mini 2 use Wi-Fi or cellular networks when available. They call these messages internet messages, and you'll see that when you send a message. Obviously, you can simply just use your phone messaging app in this case, but if your cell service is somewhat spotty, I found that it was nice to kind of keep the conversation in one place. Plus, the messages sent using data or Wi-Fi will not count towards your plan's included message limit. Those internet messages are definitely sent much faster and received much faster than satellite messages, similar to, say, your phone simply receiving a text message. Other messages that don't count against your plan are check-in messages. The device comes with 3 check-in messages and can be easily accessed on the main screen of your device or under the device tab in the Messenger app. Regular satellite messages are still limited to 160 characters, and all inbound and outbound messages count towards your plan, including messages from or to another InReach device. But this is a really great way to communicate with another person or another device, especially when you are, say, planning a meetup out of cell service. The messages certainly send quickly when the device is pointed up to the sky, and if the reply does not populate, the message check reload button on the app usually does the trick if you are in an active conversation. Another very helpful and useful feature is the tracking feature. So I find that I use this on almost every single one of my bikepacking trips. You do need at least that recreation plan to get consistent unlimited tracking, but my family and I kind of like this feature, so we pay a little bit extra each month, but more on the subscription plan soon. Also, if you plan on using this device for, say, a race where you plan on using trackleaders.com, this is going to be a requirement. As far as the tracking reliability, I'm very pleased with how it works. I typically use that 10-minute tracking, and looking back at the Garmin Explorer webpage, the location was sent exactly every 10 minutes, which is pretty cool, and was located very close, if not spot on, to where I was or where I was pedaling. This is another great option if you forget to, say, send a check-in message, as your significant other will see that you're moving, and they'll definitely appreciate that. So the weather functionality is also another great feature. whether you have no idea about the weather or sense a change in the coming weather, it's nice to get a basic understanding of the day ahead. Garmin still uses dark sky weather for their land forecasts, which was actually recently purchased by Apple. So it sounds like they are evaluating long-term plans for weather service partners. But I've always been impressed with the weather feature being pretty accurate when sent to my InReach. The basic weather functionality has always been more than enough information, providing time-stamped temperatures, conditions, and wind speeds and directions 24 hours out from the time that you requested the weather. A basic weather request costs one message, where the extended or marine request will be an additional cost. So while you can use the trackback feature on the new Messenger, which allows you to basically retrace your steps using a breadcrumb trail, the Messenger is void of any real navigation features. You can't upload a route or waypoints. I personally never used those features on the Mini, as it can be done much easier and better on other devices like phones or a head unit, but I can see why it might be important to some. The other really nice feature that is left out of the Messenger app is the map feature on the EarthMate app. The EarthMate app has this downloaded map that is extremely detailed, and I found that I use that part of the app all the time when I was bike packing. So if they could just push that over to the Messenger app, that would be real great. The InReach Messenger is a bit cheaper, coming in at $299 USD versus $399 USD for the InReach Mini 2. So if you are looking to use the InReach as maybe more of a navigation by adding waypoints and routes and having a compass, then the Messenger might not be for you. But if you are looking for simplicity, extremely long battery life, a very easy to use app and device, and want to save 100 USD, well, the Messenger might just be for you. Either way, you will need to activate the device, which is an additional 30 USD, which I think is very silly. But as far as subscription plans, if you use it often like I do, I just stick with the annual plan, which ends up saving you money down the road. But freedom plans are available if you only want to use on a trip per trip basis. You can see the plans here. I've been paying for the recreational plan for the past few years, and it seems like I get the most value out of this particular plan for trips, day rides, and I use this device when, say, I'm driving or camping, as I live in a very remote area. That said, Garmin plans are not cheap at all. And hopefully with more technology, such as the new Apple satellite messaging SOS feature and the recently announced Motorola Defy, we will see maybe some of these prices drop. Fingers crossed. So in the end, I'm not in love with the confusing app compatibility between the three small InReach devices and the size of the new InReach Messenger. Maybe we'll see an InReach Messenger Mini. I don't know. But I do love the somewhat more dumbed down approach to the InReach device, coming with options that most everyone will use and very little that they won't. So I want to hear from you all. What satellite device are you using and why? Let me know in the comment section below. So if you like what you saw in this video, definitely hit that subscribe button and consider joining the Bikepacking Collective. Support from our members sustains this channel and everything we do here at BIKEPACKING.com. And if you join by the April 17th deadline, you'll receive the special edition issue 10 of the Bikepacking Journal. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, pedal further.